You're listening to Side Hustle Pro, the podcast that teaches you to build and grow your side hustle from passion project to profitable business. And I'm your host, Nikayla Matthews Okome. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's Nikayla here, and today in the guest chair, I have Wilglory Tanjong, the founder and CEO of Anima Iris, a technology-driven luxury brand that is industrializing Africa through retail. Starting with a personal investment of $5,000, in under 2 years, Wilglory scaled Anima Iris into a multimillion-dollar valued company. Wilglory has built an engaged and loyal community of over 95,000 irises, as she calls them, across social platforms. And the brand has grown rapidly and is now available at Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, and more. Anima Iris has even been worn and highlighted by Beyoncé, seen on Issa Rae's Insecure, and featured in Essence, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, InStyle, Elle, and more. At Anima Iris, every bag is carefully handcrafted by seasoned professionals in Senegal. And in today's episode, Wilglory shares how she scaled her business while juggling a full-time MBA and dual degree program at Wharton Business School. She also shares her approach to saving and finances that allows her to bootstrap her business so far. And she shares the story behind that infamous photo shoot of Beyoncé wearing one of her Anima Iris bags. You're not going to want to miss this, so let's get right into it. Welcome to the guest chair, Wilglory. You guys, it has been a journey. We have had to cancel, reschedule so many times, and I'm so glad we're finally doing this. So welcome officially to the guest chair, Wilglory.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you. I'm so impressed by you, so inspired by you. So you, as I can see, you're naturally fashionable, stylish, and all of that, but you don't have a formal background in fashion, right? So what led you to go into this industry of starting a fashion product?
Yeah, I am not formally trained in fashion. And that was actually something that I had to overcome in becoming comfortable and even calling myself a designer. It kind of felt like I had, imposter syndrome in a way. But I've always loved fashion. I remember begging my mom to buy me this Vogue fashion book from Barnes and Nobles when I was a kid. We used to always go to Barnes and Nobles and get the books there all the time. And I just love flipping through the pages. And the thing is, I never saw people that looked like me in it, though. So I never really considered myself as someone who could one day work in an industry like that. However, when I did start making bags, it was just for fun. It was just because I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a really good relief, because I've always been a creative person. So it just felt it felt like I was just having an opportunity to
creative expression.
Self-care. Yeah, it was self-care.
I totally get that.
It was self-care because I was also going through a really difficult mental health journey as well at the time. So I was just creating for fun. And then it just kind of hit me maybe I could actually sell these bags, because people are always like, oh, well, Gloria, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? And I'm like, maybe people will buy things that I make. Let's see.
And look at you now. So tell me a little bit more about the actual making process, because I can speak from personal experience. That is the part that intimidates. That's the part that stops a lot of us in our tracks. And as we record, you're actually in Senegal right now. So how did that process come about? Were you there and said, you know what, this is where I want my home-based production facility to be?
Yeah. So initially, I think people don't know that I didn't venture out to start Anima Iris, right? Anima Iris came to me, fashion found me. This purpose was, when you are destined to do something, your purpose will find you, as long as you are also looking for it at the same time. I was in Senegal, interviewing young people for the African Hustle series, was just this platform I created on YouTube where I
Yes.
documented the work that young Africans were doing and the things that they were building. And I had gone to Ghana, I went to Kenya, and I decided to go to Senegal as the first Francophone country to see what other young people were doing there. Now, while I was in Senegal, I came across this incredible community of artisans who just create all kinds of things. And so I was making handbags and jewelry at first, and I was just like
Yeah.
so amazed. I was like, I cannot believe I drew something and
Yep.
then we like put all these materials together, and a couple of days later, like it's a real life thing that I can actually use and wear and love. Like that was just so much fun to me.
Yeah, I would have been amazed by that too. Like I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that.
And I think that's why I have such a, great following online, because I show people that process and they are amazed by it. I feel like, people kind of gatekeep how to build a company, be the behind the
Yes.
scenes. And I'm like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. Let me show you guys everything I'm doing and how I'm going about doing it. But yeah, so like long story short, along the way, I met some really great artisans. The first artisan I actually
Hmm.
worked with, I no longer work with him. So that did not end well. But fortunately, the next
Uh-oh.
artisan I worked, yeah, that's just the reality, right? It's like
Yeah.
good people are hard to find, but you have to keep going and keep trusting your instincts. The second artisan I started working with, we built a really great relationship, and then and then he led me to another good person, and good people
Okay.
know other good people, and that's how I built my team. But it was really hard. Like these are artisans who do not work for other people. They,
Hmm.
they do work for other people. As in, you hire them to make their bags, but they work with all different kinds of people, right? So to get them to come
Uh-huh.
on board full time and to be like, I'm taking you out of your ateliers to come to
Yep.
my facility to work here for me, only me, full time. That was really difficult, but it took me about a year to get
Wow.
people to trust me and to see the vision. But as
Wow.
they saw like their workload increasing, it was like first I was like, I need 10 bags and 20, then 40, and then 15, and it's like, oh, we're not even able to make enough. We need a bigger team. Like people started
Yeah.
seeing the vision for sure.
So you said it took like about a year. So what did that look like in terms of your lifestyle? You were working, coming back and forth, traveling, or was a lot of this done virtually?
All right, so let me set the background. So here
Yes,
we
please.
are. It's November 2019, and this is when I'm like, I'm just going to do this side hustle thing, Anima Iris, right? I had actually taken
Right.
time off of work. So it's like heading into month 6. It's time for me to go back to work. I'm doing a lot better in terms of my mental health. That's initially why I took time off from work. And I head back to work. So December, got to get that bonus. One thing about
Yeah.
it,
I know that's right.
I returned the time for the end of year bonus, child. Um, and I'm just like saving, 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 saving. Like I'm saving 70% of my paycheck.
Wow.
And I'm actually living with a friend. And this is actually
Hmm.
something I've never shared or don't share frequently, but I lived with a family friend who she was so gracious. I mean, to this day, she needs anything. I would never say no. So she was an overnight nurse and
Hmm.
I worked during the day. So we actually
Yeah.
shared a room. And she let me stay
Wow.
at her place for free. And I was like, literally, please at least let me pay utilities. Like, I can't just stay here for free. And I would go to work during the day, and then she'd be sleeping during the day. And then I might see her as she's like, I'm coming home and she's leaving, etc. And so it was just kind of like perfect. And I did that for about 3 months, saved
Uh-huh.
70% of my paycheck. I'm saving like
Wow.
crazy. I'm planning to quit, in April, but now I'm like really over the company. Then it was like, yeah, I was like really over it. So it was like March, it's like every single day I'm fighting for my life to make it to the next day. Because my financial advisor and I had agreed upon a certain amount before she would essentially let me like quit the job and think, okay, well, like you saved enough, you can pursue what you want to do and be in a comfortable financial setting. But then COVID happened.
Oh,
And then it
I
was
was
like,
waiting for the balls to drop. Yep.
oh, hold on, didn't plan for that, didn't plan for a pandemic. So I ended up, but the week COVID was announced a pandemic, I still quit my job because I was like, you know
Okay.
what? I had
Yes.
so much faith in what I was doing that I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to go and quit and we're going to see where I land. Because at the end of the day, I have this great degree, very fortunate to have graduated from Princeton. It's like somebody going to hire me you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I quit my job and then I moved to Philly. And I'm living with a friend, and we had both quit our jobs. We're going to quit our jobs. We're going
Us the Quit Our
to
Job Society.
together. Like we built our businesses, alongside each other,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. I supported her, she supported me, and I'm incredibly grateful
Mhm.
for having been able to do that. And then one day, I called my friend to let him know, like, hey, bro, I just moved to Philly. And he was a student
Uh-huh.
at Wharton. And this is how I actually ended up at Wharton. And he's like, so we're talking, and he's like, oh, Will, there's this program at Wharton I think you should apply to. So long story short, I ended up applying with like 3 days left to the deadline.
What? What's the program called? I mean, had you taken your
Yeah.
GMAT? What?
So I hadn't taken the GMAT, but here's the thing, because of COVID, the GMAT,
Yeah.
all these testing organizations had not figured out how to, do at home testing. Everyone was like scared to
Yeah.
go outside for valid
Yeah.
reasons.
Yes.
you know, so Warren was like, all right, you know what? Y'all that were applying in the last, like it was the third round, you
Hmm.
don't have to submit your GMAT score. You don't have to submit a GRE score. We will consider your application without those test scores. But
Mm.
if you do get in, you have to take it. So I'm
Okay.
like, when I tell you, so I got in and I like was sitting there taking the GMAT, or I don't know what's the GRE, the GMAT online. I was like, I was really that meme that's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. But I really just showed up. I could not tell you what score I got.
That is
I
amazing. I
just,
did not know that's how they were. That's what was going on.
I was
It's so
incredibly
crazy
fortunate.
how everyone had to adapt.
Yes, and there were other schools that did that didn't
Hmm.
take into consideration your test score. So that was a
Yeah.
really unique opportunity.
Yeah.
So I applied for the
But you know
program.
what, Will Glory? There's just so many amazing things that you've said. So hold that thought, right?
Yeah.
But what I want to touch on is number one, you had a financial advisor. Like, how many
Yes.
people have that and what age did you get a financial advisor?
I got a financial advisor my freshman year in college when I was getting refund checks from Princeton.
Uh-huh.
And I had spent all of it at J. Crew. And I was like, and I said, like, I said that, and I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, Will, where did all your money go? I had
Yeah,
no
yeah,
idea. I
yeah.
reached out to the richest person I knew, Maxine Clark. She founded Build-A-Bear. That was my mentor at the time. And I said, Maxine,
Wow.
please, like, I don't know, I don't come from money. I don't know anything about these
Yeah.
things. Maxine is the greatest person in the world. She plugged me to her
Wow.
financial advisor. And through her financial advisor, I started saving 30% of every paycheck. Any paycheck Princeton cut me, I saved 30% of it. And I ended up graduating, with about, I think it was either 12,000 or 21,000, one of those two numbers, probably
Hmm.
$21,000 in
That is
savings.
amazing. That you don't hear that often. That's why I had to roll it back so we could talk about that. How did you get Maxine as your mentor? Was that through Princeton or a program?
I did this program called LEADA, Leadership Enterprise for Diverse America. They actually helped me get into college. So they help low income
Okay.
students who are also high achieving, and you spend a summer on Princeton's campus, and they help you apply
Hmm.
and everything. So definitely recommend for people to apply to that
Yes.
program. So Maxine is a supporter of that program, and I met her through that program, and yeah, so she's been great. I love her.
Wow. All right, y'all. All right. So we're going to get back to Will Glory's story. But if you are right now thinking like, I don't need a financial advisor, go get one. Let this be the inspiration. And also, if you know anyone who qualifies, tell them about that program, Lead Up. So, all right, we're back. You've moved to Philly. You reach out to your friend. What happens next?
So he's telling me there's this program called Lauder, and it's a
Uh-huh.
dual Wharton and international studies program. So
Yes.
I would be getting my degree in international studies with a focus in Africa. There are other regions you can focus in, and also getting a Wharton degree. So I'd be getting two degrees at the same time. And I'm like, that makes sense. And so we're looking at each other like, this makes sense. I just spent
Yeah.
all this time traveling Africa. I
Hmm.
am building a business on the African continent. I'm very entrepreneurial. So the MBA was making sense. The international studies program was making sense. So I applied. I pulled together my application literally in 3 days.
Wow.
Super grateful. My roommate at the time, she was like super supportive. Like she was on it. She's like, "Will, apply. Make sure you do it." Blah, blah, blah. My cousin Ashil, he helped look over my application. I mean, consistently in my success, it always takes a community. And so even getting into war, and I'm so grateful for all the
Yeah.
people that just even said like push me, were like, "Girl, apply." So, and then I got in and it was like, okay, wait, hold on, whoa. I was actually
Were you?
planning to go to business school, didn't think I was going to get in.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever worry about the money part? Because like starting a business is this huge investment,
Yeah.
and then going to business school is a huge investment. So how did you make that decision?
Yeah. Wharton is very expensive. So I was very fortunate to not have graduated undergrad with any debt. So taking on debt in grad school was not like I was adding on to anything. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then Lauder had also given me substantial financial aid that not only covered their program, but then it also covered a portion of my Wharton program. So
Okay.
it was still expensive to attend Wharton, but it was a lot more affordable.
And how did you, once you started, how did you balance running a business plus going to grad school?
So this is how we then, circle back to how I'm building a good relationship with my artisans,
Yes.
because what happens is Warren is online for the first year. The entire first year is online, and I become a huge benefactor of that. Right. So
Yes.
now I am actually able to travel to Senegal. So Senegal had opened up their borders to like Senegalese citizens and Americans. I don't know why specifically Americans, but I was like, oh, we in there. I was like, I don't need to ask no questions. We in there. Let's go. Like,
Right.
I was like, my
Right.
passport says America. Okay. And so I went to Senegal, and I would wake up every morning at about 8 a.m. I would meet with my artisans by 9 a.m., start working, worked in the atelier of my artisans, and I was there every single day, like sun up to sundown. I would, it was by 1 p.m., I was taking my first class that started at like
Wow.
9 a.m. At the time, that was the time zone difference. And 9 a.m. was my first class for Lauder. And then would be taking classes all day for both the Lauder program and for Wharton. I would do, and then by like the end of the day, my artisans and I would finish around 6 o'clock. Then I'd go
Yep.
home. I would do another class from Wharton. I would do, go to study hours or like whatever they're called, to get extra help, and would end
Hmm.
my day usually around 10 to midnight. And that's how I was doing it
Wow.
every single day. And I became super close with my artisans because they were seeing, they really knew I was in school. I would be
Uh-huh.
in classes, and in the background you would see all these bags, and people would be like, where are you getting these bags?
Great
Like,
promo.
yeah.
Yep.
And then and my artisan, he actually purchased and installed an AC unit in his
Hmm.
atelier, because I would be there with my like little neck fan. I was so hot, but the hustle is real. Like I was so hot, I was
Wow.
sweating, I was sitting there, I was in class, and so he like spent his own money and he installed an AC unit for me so I could be more comfortable knowing that I was there every single day.
Now that is a story. I don't think I've ever heard anybody's story that is just this. I mean, I'm sitting here just amazed and also just truly blown away. I mean, the fact that you're doing this. And as someone who, so I went to business school and, had to do the in-person, like I remember struggling getting to that 9 a.m. class. I used to think like, oh man, it sucks that everyone is online,
Yeah.
but not for you when you're building a whole business. And this
Oh,
is not just like a little side business.
yeah.
This is, so talk about what starts happening too in this year. Like
Right.
you're featured on Insecure. Beyonce is wearing your bags. Like how did that
My
come
gosh,
about?
my queen. I just, so
Like queen, our queen.
Before the Beyonce moment happens, right?
Hmm. Yep.
I actually, so Lauder program starts in the summer. So
Okay.
here I am, I'm online doing the LAUDA program, we're taking our classes, and I
Right.
just start seeing my phone, like, I keep getting texts, and I'm like, why are my friends texting me? Like, y'all know I'm trying to do this school thing, like,
Yes.
you know? And like, my friends are blowing up my phone. So I turn my camera off, and then because I'm in class, and then I
Right.
see like somebody tweeted about
Uh-huh.
us, and they were like, "Oh, if you're looking for black-owned handbags, this is a brand I really like." Like one of our customers had tweeted about us. When I told
Hmm.
you, like it was going viral. It was getting so many retweets. Orders were coming in.
Yes.
It was like ping, 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 and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so at this point, now my camera is
Hmm.
always off in class because I'm packing
Yeah.
orders and trying to listen to whatever the professor is saying. So the
Yeah.
struggle from before I've even started day one of work, the struggle is already real. Um,
Yep.
and so at this point now we're doing about $10,000 a month in sales.
Yep.
And so I'm like feeling great about it. I didn't think this business was going to accelerate so quickly.
Yep.
But it's like we're growing. Then it's like 15,000. Then it's like 20,000. And then I actually ended up having to drop out of the LAUDER program.
Oh,
And, because I mean, I told you what a typical day looks like, right? From 8
right.
a.m.
Right.
to 10 p.m. midnight. It was too
Yep.
much. I was stretching
Yeah.
myself way too thin. And it was one of those things that was like, I'm going to fail as a business owner. I'm going to fail in Wharton. I'm going to fail in Lauder because I cannot commit enough time to any of these things.
Yes. Yeah. I was wondering how you were doing
I
that.
know, right? Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was incredibly difficult,
Hmm.
especially as a first gen African immigrant. This idea of dropping out is like so like it's like what we don't.
What is that?
I've like never heard of an African person ever dropping out of anything. Like we just that's just not even a topic of conversation. So you're going to college, you're going to get your education,
Hmm.
you're going to finish it, and whatever you do after
Yeah.
that is your business. But like one thing about it, you're going to finish what you start. And I had to come to this reckoning, like I simply just cannot continue forward. It's just
Yep.
not possible. So and the program leaders, they understood that. And I remember that night I cried. I cried so hard because I was like, I
Oh,
really felt like I had failed. But I had to make the
no.
decision that's like, what does success actually look like a year, 2 years from now? Is building a business, by the time I graduate, Warren, I had to ask myself, is building a multi-million-dollar valued business by the time you graduate going
Hmm.
to be what you deem to be success? Or is it going to be graduating at the top of your class in both Wharton and Lauder as successful? And I chose my business because I had already done the Princeton thing, the educational thing. I graduated Princeton cum laude, graduated at the top of my
Hmm.
class, right? Like I
Yep.
have nothing left to prove to anyone, whether, about being academically capable. I know I
Hmm.
am. Now I have to prove
Right.
to myself and to the world that I am entrepreneurial enough to build something that's going to make a difference. And that's what I decided to do.
Snap, snap, snaps. I mean, that's it right there. And I mean, really, you don't have to prove anything to anybody but yourself. But
Exactly.
I like that you face that question of what does success look like to me? Because
Yes.
that's what matters at the end of the day. What does that look like to me? So for you, you talk about being an open book, you talked
Yeah.
about working with different artists. How do you go about scaling your business and growing your business without worrying about, people copying, people who you no longer work with, running forward with your designs? How do you manage all of this, all these moving parts?
Yeah. All right. So, in terms of people copying, I have been getting copied a lot. Unfortunately, it's coming majorly from other Black woman designers, which,
Oh
really, in my
no.
opinion, that hurts me most. Because, like, if Zara
Yeah.
is going to, copy me, please, Zara, don't copy me because then I have to stop wearing Zara and that's half my closet.
Hmm.
So, Zara, please don't copy me. But,
Right,
like,
right.
it's like, it's one thing if you're copied by, like, a corporate institution or whatever. It's another when you're copied by other people that look like you. That really hurts. But I'm
Hmm.
copied a lot by other people in Senegal.
Oh,
One of my bags was like copied like straight. Like, this is not even inspiration. This is like, you showed your
wow.
team. This is the bag we're trying to make. Let's redo it.
Yeah. Yep.
But I haven't worried too much about my team because those first two people I told you about
Hmm.
that I like became really close with. Let me actually tell you the story. So the first person I started the so I had the first artisan. Him and I didn't
Hmm.
work out. I found another artisan,
Yep.
and his name is Malik. And he then, when
Hmm.
I wanted to expand, he introduced me to Sheikh. Now Sheikh also speaks English. Sheikh
Okay.
and I did not get off on a good foot because Sheikh had somehow found my bag and he wanted to work with me. And so I don't know how he got my number, but he made my Zaza bag and sent it to me. And
Oh
I'm like,
no.
wait a minute, hold up. Like, why are you making my bag? And it's like sending it to me. And Malik had to make Chef apologize. Chef was like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. We did not get off on a good
Wow.
foot at all. But then when it came time to needing another artisan,
Hmm.
Malik was like, you should ask Chef. He's a great artisan. And I'm like, all right, Malik, I trust you. And
Yeah.
so we added Chef onto the team. Chef and I became really close, especially because he also speaks English really quite well.
Okay.
And he and I became so close that he would always tell his mom about me, actually. And Chef has a story that he told me like a couple of months ago that I didn't know. I've known him for over 2 years now, but I didn't know about this.
Hmm.
There's this tragedy that has occurred quite frequently in which we have young Senegalese people going onto these
Hmm.
boats and trying to immigrate to
Mm.
like Italy and Spain, etc. And it's
Yeah.
extraordinarily dangerous, and a lot of people are dying on these boats.
Hmm.
Um, because they feel as if there's no opportunity in their country. And Chef told me that when he was like 20 something years old, he did that against his mother's will.
Wow.
His mom was like, I will literally die if you go on that boat. And he did. And he told me that he actually almost died. They ran out of food, they ran out of water, and they made
Wow.
it all the way. I'm forgetting whether it was Spain or Italy, just to
Hmm.
be flown back to Senegal. And his mom was like, just keep working on what you're doing. One day, everything is going to change.
Wow.
So by the time Chef meets me, right,
Hmm.
he tells his mom about me. And his mom, it's like, I love this girl. She's a woman. She's a boss. She's building.
Yes.
You guys are growing. Like, and I'm a big fan too. Like, I'm like, I can't wait for the day to meet his mom. And
Hmm.
I remember coming back and learning that his mom, unfortunately, she had been sick for some time and she passed.
Oh,
And before she passed, though, one of the last things she told Sheikh was, whatever you do, stay by Wilglory's side.
mm.
You guys are meant to work together. You guys are going to go to new heights together. Like, stay by her side. And that was something that he was like, that is why with Glory, no matter what happens in this business, I'm always gonna
Hmm.
be by your side. I feel like I'm getting so emotional
Wow. I'm
because
getting emotional listening.
it's just
And I thank you for sharing this with us. Yeah.
and I did get permission from Chef to be able to share this story. So, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it's like you come to this country, this continent, hoping to make change, and you really are.
Hmm.
I did not. I had learned about these tragic accidents happening to young Senegalese people by sea. I had no
Yeah.
idea that this artisan I adored and loved so much could have been
Hmm.
one of those people.
My God.
And to see that, him and I have now really built this business alongside each other. That's why I don't even like referring to anybody that works for me as like an employee, because I feel like you're not building this business for me. We're building this together. We're building this
Yes.
alongside each other. So now Chef and I, we're super close. He knows like
Yeah.
all the artisans in this country. And anytime I'm like, okay, Chef, it's looking like we're going to need another one, two, he already
Mhm.
has like a list in his own head of who he's going to
Mm.
bring on next. And he's super intentional.
Yeah.
Personality and attitude is everything. If you cannot work in a community setting, this is just simply not for you. If you are only
Hmm.
here to make money and that's it, like my artisans definitely make good money, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
if money is your only driving factor, this company is not for you. So
Yeah.
Shell is able to like filter out and find those people for me, and he onboards them and brings them on. So this is why I tell people that good people know other good people. And it's really hard to find good people, but when you find them, make sure you keep them.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that story was so powerful. And a few things, yeah, you take a minute. You take a minute
Oh,
because there are
yeah.
a few things that hit home for me that I want to call attention to. Of course, it's relationship building, right? When people talk about hiring, and it does come down to relationships. It
Yeah.
does come down to how you feel and how you work together and that rapport and that trust. At the end of the day, you have to have this trust in a person on your team, however you refer to them. So that relationship building is so key, especially when you're first starting out. I know as you get bigger and bigger, you might not have that same relationship with everybody on your
Yeah.
team, but at least that core person who's helping to grow your company is passing that along, and they're growing that with the intentionality and the integrity that you have looked for in your business. And then also this idea of impact. So I know for me, a lot of times when you think of impact, you think it has to be this huge scale of like, I need to impact 1,000 women. I need to impact 1 million women and all these big benchmarks that we put out there. But we forget that if you can change the life of one person and
Yeah.
then they go on, like that is the ripple effect of impact. And so we have to focus on that a little bit more and stop thinking like, oh, I need every $1 of every sale to go to some charity that we're not connected with. And we're
Yeah.
not looking at how that money is being deployed and inputted into communities. Why don't we focus on that personal connection and that impact? So I love that you highlighted that with that story.
No, that's 1,000%. And, for me, it's like, well, the other week, one of our artisans came up to me and he was asking me if he could, I think he like needed the day off tomorrow because
Yeah.
he needed to go sign this paperwork for land that he had purchased. And I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Wow.
yes, like,
Wow. Yes.
like obviously take the day off and congrats on buying land, like,
Yeah.
and that for me is what it looks like when people are receiving good consistent pay. It's like,
Yes.
they're able to actually buy property, expand upon it, build, provide for
Hmm.
their family, like I remember I think last Christmas I asked Chef like what is him and his kids they were doing like for Christmas. He was like telling me all this different stuff. I'm like, damn, these kids really living life. I'm like, y'all living life. But
They are
it's tough,
living.
because it's like, and I've met
Yeah.
his kids on FaceTime, and I've talked to
Oh,
the kids of some of my other artisans, and
yeah.
it's really wonderful to see them, because then it's like when I'm hustling every single month, my business is
Hmm.
still bootstrapped. So
Hmm.
it's like I'm hustling every single month. It's like I can't mess around because
No.
there are families relying on me, and I know the faces of the children that are
And I
relying on
know,
me too.
I know that
So
drive. It's like you have bills. You have real overhead, real things
yeah,
to pay for each and every month. So let's talk about that a little bit. Now you mentioned like you started having $10,000 and
yeah.
$15,000 and $20,000 a month. What did that look like on the profit side? Like how much of this are you able to retain or how much of this are you putting back into the business? And and talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so fortunately, handbags are actually a very profitable business. The luxury handbag industry has really strong margins. And so that has allowed me to be profitable a few months into the business. And then, as we were like growing and scaling, like I lost profitability because, now you're investing a whole bunch of money into inventory and it's not until you sell those things that, you start recouping that money. But, we've gained profitability, lost it, but, we've remained cash flow positive for like over a year now. And I just keep investing it all back into the business. All of it. Right? Because I feel like this is what I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to be doing right now. This is what the money should be doing. And so, we growing the team, adding on new people, now we source from Italy, which is expensive, right?
Yeah.
The materials are a lot more expensive and we're investing in that. But we definitely reap the benefits of that for sure.
So when you say that you don't take anything from it, so how do you pay yourself?
Okay, so I do pay myself. And this is funny because one day my financial advisor, about a year ago, she was like, well, do you see yourself like monthly? You're paying all these people. I don't see your name on any of these Excel sheets. And I was like, oh no, like I don't pay myself. Like everyone has to get paid. It's not about me. And she's like, well, Gloria, you need to pay yourself too. You need to prioritize paying yourself because you're putting a lot of work into this company. Yes. So I do pay myself. I set aside $5,000 to be transparent. So I set aside $5,000 each month. And even when I do payroll, I cut everybody's check besides mine. I do always do mine last. And but if we're being honest, Anima Iris is still an LLC. So there is no such thing as really paying yourself. That's what I learned when I filed taxes. I had an accountant for the first time because once Anima Iris started making money, I was like, oh, I need an accountant because I'm not trying to go to prison. Because if I do my taxes one more time on Turbo, I'm going to prison for real.
They'll call you up like, ma'am. So what you're talking about is like you're still like a single member LLC, and so it's still like it's that blurry area of like technically you're still filing under your name too, and it's stuff gets real blurry.
So all earnings are technically my earnings, but and so by the time I had to pay taxes, I said, interesting. I was like, wow. See, all this 5,000 I was setting myself each month is not, they're like, no. Yeah, that is not tax deductible because what that is, and I had to understand was that it is a transfer of money to another account. But baby, I am not on payroll, and so until the structure of my business changes, maybe if I bring on investors someday, I'll actually be on payroll and that'll be a very different story. But yeah, also one thing I want to say, shout out to Brandon Blackwood because he connected me to his accountant actually.
Nice.
And I work with his accountant. Yeah. So I'm telling you.
I love to see that, synergy and help across same industry. That's awesome. Shout out to Brandon Blackwood. He's Jamaican.
Yeah. He's like literally one of the most wonderful people in the world. Like I'm always sharing.
I love to hear that. If you're a small business owner, this is for you. Running a business is just plain hard. Endless to-do lists, employees to take care of, and your ever-present bottom line. So first of all, kudos to you for staying on top of it. And now I want to tell you about Gusto. Gusto builds an easier and more affordable way to manage payroll, benefits, and more. They help over 300,000 businesses by taking the pain out of tasks like automated payroll tax filing, direct deposit, health insurance administration, 401k, onboarding tools, you name it. Gusto makes it easy. And they really care about the small business owners they work with. Their support team is attentive and helpful. And since money can be tight sometimes, you'll even get 3 months free. Just go to gusto.com/SHP and start setting up your business today. You'll see what I mean when I say easy. Again, that's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/SHP. are thinking about where to start their businesses, I noticed that, you started in Senegal, you're still there. What went into, but you are sourcing a little bit from Italy too. So how does that work as far as, was it a matter of, oh, I started here, this works, or have you ever considered other places when you look at the bottom line and how much materials cost?
Yeah, I've considered expanding into Ghana, not necessarily because of the bottom line, just because, I
Yeah.
wanted to grow the operation. I went to, and Ghana is just a country that I loved being. So I was like, I'd love to just like be here having fun and like building this business.
Yeah. Yeah. If you do, I have a friend for you to connect with.
So I went to Kumasi with a friend, one of my good friends, Phil, who has his own shoe company, Phil and Joe, and he works out of Kumasi, and they do a lot of, leather goods stuff there. And I tried to, have them make a bag, and unfortunately, they just aren't busting bags down the same as the way, in Ghana as they are in Senegal, unfortunately. So I realized, I said, okay, you know what? Each African country kind of has their own thing that they're really, really good at. Like my artisans here are actually like literally incredible. And I realized like I should stay in Senegal, expand the handbag portion of this business here, especially since, Sheikh like knows everybody. And we'll be able to continue growing the company because now it's like everybody want to work for Anima Iris. All the artisans know about it. Yeah. Especially in their artisanal community. They're like, yeah, this American girl like came and gave everyone jobs. So artisans are gone. But yeah, a lot of there are artisans who are like literally like trying to improve and get better so they can, be at the caliber to work for us.
Nice.
So I'm like, all right, well, let's stay in Senegal. Let's continue producing our handbags in Senegal. The goal of this company is to become a lifestyle company, right? So we're starting with handbags, but I want to venture into shoes. I want to venture into clothes. I want to venture back into jewelry. I want to do furniture one day. I love furniture and home decor and wallpaper and stuff like that.
Yes, I'm here for all of that.
I want to stay made in Africa as much as possible. And so in Ghana, their strength is clothes. Like, oh my gosh, like they can sew over there,
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm going to expand into making clothes, I might consider Ghana and, things like that. So that's what my own expansion plan looks like in terms of how to expand across Africa.
And let's talk a little bit about the marketing piece. So obviously word of mouth was great for you. But word of mouth, it can ebb and flow, right? Yeah. So as you are, in grad school, focused on scaling a company, how did you tackle marketing, promoting your business, getting it in front of eyes?
Oh my gosh. This just reminded me. I got so sidetracked. I even forgot to talk about Beyoncé. So we're going to have to circle back to
right. No, we are circling back. Don't you worry. I'm bringing it back. But first I want to know, like, what were some tactical steps that you were doing,
So initially, when I started building out the business, we were building it in a way that was like kind of like every other business. Like I was building it in a way where I was inspired by established luxury houses. And that wasn't really resonating with people. And it made sense, right? Which is like these established luxury houses have like...
They don't have to do anything.
Yeah, they don't really got to do much, right? They don't have to prove themselves anymore. So now it's like, well, as a young brand, it's like, how do you differentiate yourself? Because we are different. So there's no reason to be a company that's actually really different from these fashion houses and market ourselves or showcase ourselves on social media the same way. So I started becoming more of, the face of the brand when I realized that people kind of liked seeing me. And, this is just kind of like a tip to all the entrepreneurs out there is that people nowadays want brands who have a face behind it. And that's why you see even huge luxury houses now having these brand ambassadors that are really popular with people, because now those celebrities, et cetera, are the faces of the brands and people can resonate with the brand, with those luxury houses even more.
Right.
So being somebody that has a very big personality, and I was just like very open and just like not really caring, if I was being copied or whatever. Cause I'm like, listen, you're going to copy me. Like, you're always going to be worried. You're always going to be 10 steps behind because I'm already on to
Yep.
the next thing. So I
Yep.
was just so transparent. People love that. They love seeing the behind the scenes. And so it all started on Instagram. Instagram is really where we built our initial following, and people would reshare to other people, tell them about us. I also create content that was reshareable, which was key. So when you're thinking
Mm.
about the kind of content you're creating, you have to think like, would I reshare this? Would my
Yes.
friends reshare
Yes.
this?
Yes.
You don't want your friends resharing your content just because they're like, oh, I want to support my homegirl. You want them resharing, yeah.
Right. Right.
No,
Yeah.
because like my friends reshare the content and like they don't even tag me no more because it's like they're sharing it because they want to, post it, not because they like
Yeah.
want to get in their brownie points and
Right.
that's right. I've been supporting you. Let me also tag you so you see that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to create reshareable content that feels relatable, content that doesn't feel like it's been so polished and put together,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why
Yep.
for a long time we didn't really do like these extensive like next level campaigns, editorial campaigns. Like I do them now just because I need editorial images out there. So
Right.
like we do look like a serious brand.
You are a serious brand, but
Yeah,
I know what you mean, and I'm glad that you raised that as well, because I think because Instagram started as such an eye focused platform, like share what's going on with you,
yeah,
that when people then start a brand focused page, they're thinking with that lens. But no, actually, you need to be thinking about the person. So it's kind of like instead of saying, "Look what I did," it's like, "Look what you can do," and that
exactly,
content gets shared more.
exactly. I get messages all the time from people who are like, "You inspired me to like." Go for this, to build this company, to do this, like,
Yes.
and that is, and that's what is so meaningful for me, and
Yeah.
that's why showcasing how I'm doing it, and showcasing the behind the scenes and being so transparent is important because people are
Yes.
like learning from that. Um,
Yeah.
and I think, and I always tell people all the time, like I got a lot of messages, people, wanting me to help them like one on one, and I can't help everyone one on one. But I actually think that my greatest gift to entrepreneurs who are interested in
Hmm.
doing what I'm doing is my social media. If you
Yes.
read between the lines and you don't consume the content like a everyday person, you're consuming the content from like an analytical perspective and thinking, why did Wilglory post it like that? Why is she saying it like that? You're gonna start seeing and understanding, and it's gonna really teach you a lot. Like,
I love
just
that.
going
I
through
love
Anima
that.
Iris's history, like you will learn so much as an entrepreneur for sure.
All right, so now we got to talk about Beyonce. How did she
Yes.
find Anima Iris? How did this come to be? I need to know.
So I won a 3-month free PR marketing gift package thing from this
Uh-huh.
Black owned company called Simmons PR.
Okay.
And a part of it, she was like, she said, send me a list of who you would love to have your bag on. And obviously, Beyonce was on that list. And she got in contact with Beyonce's stylist, Zarina, at the time. And Zarina was like, oh, yeah, let's get some of her bags. And so we shipped out bags to Beyonce. And I remember like we shipped multiple bags. And there was the one bag, the one that Beyonce ended up wearing. There was the one bag that Cher actually had to like make because we didn't have it ready to ship. And I told Chef, I said, Chef, this bag is for Beyonce. And he was like, are you for
You
real? I
got
was
it.
like, Chef, I'm for real. He's like, are you serious? I was like, Beyonce might wear this bag. I'm so serious. He was like, oh my God. And so here I am. And at this point, I'm still fulfilling my own orders. Like I am my own
Hmm.
fulfillment center still. I pack it up. I write a little note. I don't think Beyonce ever saw the note, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I was like, Beyonce, like you're like such an inspiration. Love you, girl. And I prayed over it. And I remember,
Hmm.
I'll never forget. I prayed over it and I said, God, if this is your will, let your will be done. And I shipped it. And that one shipped alone. And then I remember
Yeah.
months passed. Beyonce ain't wear the bags. I said, Beyonce hates Anima Iris. Oh my Lord. Like she must think our bags are whack.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, she hasn't worn us. I shipped it in April. So by the time August roll around, I'm like, oh, it's slow. I'm not looking to see if she's gonna wear it at all. Not
Yeah.
realizing that Beyonce has like warehouses of like stuff that people have sent her. So you got to make it past the warehouse stage, child. It's actually a long process to get onto
Wow.
Beyonce. But then one day I had been fulfilling orders, still my own fulfillment center, and I did a end of summer sale, so we were getting a lot of orders. And then I remember I woke up that day, I was like, I had so many orders to pack. And I actually recorded myself, and that's why I have this video where I tell this story, and there's a video with it because I recorded myself fulfilling orders that day. And
Yeah.
I was so tired by the end of the day. I remember I put all my stuff in my little Honda Accord, all the bags and all the boxes in there, drove it to the UPS. I was complaining to the UPS guy. I was like, oh my God, like I'm sweating, I'm hot, I'm tired, I'm over it, like I'm waiting for my big break. I'm like, Lord.
Yep.
And he was like, no, like look at all these orders. Like you have customers, you're doing it, like keep going. I would love to be in your position. I'm like, yeah, I guess. And so I get home and it's the end of the day and I'm like, all right, I'm about to go shower, but because can't help but go on social media one more time. So I get on Instagram one more time and the very first post is a post from Beyonce. And I'm like, what is my queen up to today? I mean, she ain't in my bag yet, but it's no harm, no foul. I'm still a big fan. So I swipe. So in the video, she's walking with like one of the babies. And I think it's Rumi, and she's walking with the baby, and they're heading towards the helicopter. Just rich people things. Normal modes of transportation. She's probably just going down the street, honestly. And so I swipe, and I'm like, oh my God. Beyonce's wearing, my armpits start itching. Like, I'm like, oh, like, I'm like in those Nigerian movies, like, oh my God, like, oh my. And no one is around. So I'm just like, oh, Beyonce's wearing my mic. Is nobody here? I didn't even have to zoom
Oh my
in.
God.
And I just start seeing messages. Is that your bag on Beyonce's? I was like, that is my bag on Beyonce. And I get on Instagram. I was like, y'all, Beyonce is wearing my bag. And I commented it. People were commenting, tagging us. Like, that was one of the best days of my life. And it was
I know it was. I know it was.
It was so timely. It wasn't even like, it was like I was really down. Like I was really complaining 2 hours ago. Like I was over it. And little did I know Beyonce had worn my bag like earlier that day or something. You know what I mean?
And you're about to get more orders to ship out.
So here, now the website is sold out. And I'm like, oh, well, now I'm really about to be.
Yep.
So at this point, I got to my friends. I'm like, y'all got to help me. Beyonce sold the website out. But oh my gosh, I will never forget that day. And I'm so thankful to my friends who took the time to celebrate with me. And, then we had a Beyonce approved party. And we had like a cutout of Beyonce.
Wow.
Yeah, so Beyonce
Please send me pictures of that, okay? Yeah. I will try to insert pictures, y'all. Watch the YouTube version. That is so cool. Oh my God. I would have had a heart attack. So shout out to you for not fainting. That I don't know what I would do. So did you see like lasting increase after that? Or is it one of those things where it does spike, but then it kind of resumes a normal pace?
So there was definitely a spike. That month, I believe we hit 100K for like the first time, right? So it was like we had this sale. So, we were already like doing really well that month. And then Beyonce came on through and just wrapped it up and put a little, Bebo on it. And it was done. And so I think what that did is less about whether that like hype was sustained and more about what it does to a brand when a person like Beyonce wears it, right? Beyonce
Mm-hmm.
don't have to wear nothing she don't want to wear, and she not gonna wear nothing
Yep.
she don't want to wear. So if Beyonce's wearing
Yeah.
anything, she want to wear
Right.
it, and that means that and that's saying something without having to ever actually say anything.
Yes. Yes.
And what that did was provide a lot of validation for us. Like, here we are, this small, new to the scene, made in Africa company, and on her
Mm-hmm.
waist is not, a bag from these traditional European fashion houses. It's from an artisan in Senegal named Chef, alongside Wilglory, who, made this bag for her. And that is so incredibly important, especially because, Beyonce is a celebrity of all celebrities. And so that also gave my business validation, but that gave me a lot of confidence.
Mm.
Because I think as a Black woman, a Black
Yep.
person, a woman, a Black woman entrepreneur, a person
Yeah.
who is not a fashion designer, who doesn't come from money. I mean, so many different things, like so many forces are working against me,
Mm-hmm.
to not necessarily make me feel confident. But like, by the time Beyonce put on my bag, it was like, you could not tell me nothing. Don't Nobody's rejections gonna hit
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it used
Yep.
to.
Yep. And
Because
it's so funny that you say so many forces could be seen as working against you, but so many forces are working for
but
you.
they're also
Right?
working for you. Yes.
Yep.
Because it turns out, and I spoke to KJ Moody about it, Beyonce's stylist, who styled her with the
Mm-hmm.
bag. Shout out KJ. He's literally the most amazing
Shout
person.
out.
Oh my God. He
Uh-huh.
is incredible personality. We
Yeah.
randomly had breakfast together in Paris. We were finally able to meet. Like, look at that. Like, I was in Paris for, my friend's wedding for
Amazing.
the
Yeah.
weekend, and he was
He
there
was
for
there.
Fashion Week. And anyway, so we had breakfast in Paris, and he told me about the Beyonce moment and how it happened. And that
Oh,
was his first time styling her, actually. So that was a big week for him,
wow.
too. So,
Yeah.
so it was one of those moments where he's waiting to see if people are going to like the work that he's done. And
Mm-hmm.
he told me, he was like, yeah, he was like, we had a whole different outfit planned, and the outfit just wasn't coming together. But
Mm-hmm.
he had my bag in there as part of, the options for Beyonce to choose through. And he was like, Beyonce picked up your bag and said, I really like this bag. And so they reconstructed the whole outfit around the bag.
Wow.
They picked the skirt, they picked the top, and then she was like, she wanted to wear it around her waist. So then made the crossbody strap, a little waist bag. And that moment happened. So I'm sitting here in first, I said, oh, so you mean to tell me it's not just like Beyonce wore my bag. It's like Beyonce chose my bag,
Beyonce chose your bag.
Like, I'm telling you, I tweeted the other day, I was like, I cannot wait for the day I get my own, like, I'm so proud of you dash B flowers, because I feel like that's my trajectory in life right now. It's like,
Oh
that's what
yeah,
I'm
oh
really
yeah,
working towards.
oh yeah. And I'm
Flowers,
glad that you know this, and I'm
you
glad that
know?
you're claiming it, and you already know.
Yeah.
So I
And
just love that you share these stories with us too.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, it's like, she knows the brand is Black
Hmm.
owned. She likes that, and she
Yeah,
wants to support Black owned brands. And so
right.
here it is, where you can see, perhaps my Blackness is working against me, right? And that kind of force. But then there are forces working for me, where there are very powerful people who want to support Black businesses
Yes,
and who are
yes,
intentional about doing so.
right.
And her
Yeah.
support changed the trajectory of my company truly forever. So I'm so grateful
Mm.
to Beyonce. I'm so grateful to KJ Moody. It has meant everything to me.
So what does it look like in terms of staff now? How big is your team, and how big do you see yourself growing your team to be able to handle your current workload?
Yeah, we definitely need more team members. I think people think my business is a lot bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
We have about 7 artisans,
Okay.
and we have like an operational manager here. Then we have 2 other people who do marketing and socials, and truly just kind of like everything. They're my go-to people, like everything else. And then there's
Hmm.
me. And
So who
that's
handles fulfillment?
so now fulfillment is no longer being handled in the home of Will Glory. It's now
Thank
being
goodness.
handled
Yes.
It's now being handled by a fulfillment center that fulfills for a whole lot of other brands. And they're
Okay.
wonderful. You know, they've been very
Nice.
helpful. So, yeah, so getting that off the plate, woof, that was a great day to
Yeah.
take all my
Right.
boxes and
Do you
bags
think you
out of
held on to it a little longer than you needed to? Like, what made you
absolutely.
decide to finally outsource that?
Absolutely. I remember somebody telling me that the faster you can get a fulfillment center to start, fulfilling your stuff, the
Yeah.
better. Because like when Beyonce moments and things like these viral moments happen, it becomes
Yeah.
very, very difficult on your business. So I definitely wish I had done it a lot sooner.
Hmm.
And the process of onboarding and everything is so much. We have so many different kinds of bags and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're finally in a very comfortable place where we're able to,
Oh, good.
easily fulfill. But yes, I absolutely recommend that entrepreneurs, I always say, like, get your product out there as soon as possible. It doesn't need to be
Hmm.
perfect. Your
Hmm.
audience, your customers will let you know what they need from you to make it
Hmm.
perfect. And then also, try and work with a fulfillment center as soon as possible, as soon as you can.
Man, I could talk to you all day. We do have to jump to the lightning round. One last thing before we head to the lightning round. So, how did you approach finding a fulfillment center? How do you do that Google search? What do you look for?
Yeah, so that's something that someone else on my team did, but I
Okay.
think like if you like Google, you'll find like some of the really popular ones, and you also just have to have conversations with them, right? Like some of them
Okay.
are like younger, growing, and are willing to grow with you. Some are like, oh, you are not bringing in enough, orders each month for us to like kind of take you seriously, because at that point
Okay.
their fulfillment centers are running like Amazon.
Right.
So yeah, it's one of those things. It took us some time, and we had to have meetings with different fulfillment centers for sure. But
Got
personality
it.
is everything. I think like the business is so heavy on personality actually. Like, and I say this all the time. Like, I'm actually not great at math. Granted, I did graduate from a school of finance, so that was crazy. But um, so I mean, now I can do some math, but like I have a lot of shortcomings. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but one thing I do really well is I trust my gut, my
Yes.
instincts.
Yes.
And whether you want to call that intuition or vibes, it's like I built this company straight off vibes, not off
Mm.
Excel sheets, not off, data, blah, 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 rah, ta, 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 ta. It's like I really, I built it off vibes where it's like, you test
Yeah.
the vibes of the people you're working with. It's like that first artisan, the vibe was off. The second one, the vibe
Yeah.
was on,
Yeah.
and you start working with people, you feel the vibe, and you're like, you see whether or not
Hmm.
they are going to be there for you. And
Yeah.
in the vibes of the fulfillment center, we're currently working with the
Right.
owner. The vibes were so on.
Thank you for that encouragement because we need that encouragement. I'll share with you too that, just like yesterday, I was getting ready to sign a big contract and I was just nervous. I was talking to my brand manager about it, my brand partnerships manager,
Yeah,
and he was like, here's the exit clause in the contract. He was like,
yeah,
if you don't like it, you do have a way to exit. I was like,
right,
that's true. That's true. I was like, you have to take a chance. And if things don't work
absolutely.
out, you can move on. All right. It won't be the end of the world.
We didn't even get to that part of, the things I love to tell people, which is like,
Uh-huh.
there's great importance in just starting and going and pursuing. Because if things like one of the worst things that could have happened for me would be like, okay, my business fails, people laugh at
Yeah.
me. All right, bounce back. I can still dress. So what? Like,
Right. So
at least
what? You can't
at
bite
least
me.
I still know how to dress. And
Right.
and it's like, I'll just get a job somewhere else. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we kind of think like the worst thing that can happen is like catastrophic, and it really kind of isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, set yourself
Mm-hmm.
up to succeed, but always have an exit clause. I had
Yeah.
an exit clause. That was my Princeton degree. And the fact that I also had a really good, savings account. Like that's,
Right.
20 grand. Yeah, I believe it was about 20 grand. 20 grand is a lot of money for someone who's just kind of like doing whatever, and then I was like saving all my other money. So
Right.
yeah, it's, I always have an exit clause, but recognize like the worst thing that can happen is probably also like not that deep. At the end of the day,
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
yeah, at the end of the day, like life is not that serious.
Not that
Take it
deep, and
easy.
it might be over before you know it. So please just go after it. All right.
Right.
All right. We're going to do the lightning round, y'all. Y'all going to have to hit up Wilglory on social. All right. If you want to continue this conversation. So really quick lightning round. All right. First of all, number one, what is a resource, like the top resource that you can think of when you think of something that's helped you in your business that you can share with the Side Hustle Pro audience?
First thing that is coming to mind is Canva. Shout out to the founder of Canva. I remember seeing that, Canva is like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I was like, that girl that founded that company deserves every dollar because she has fully changed and altered the ability for businesses to actually, visually create in a world where the visuals matter so much. Canva is an incredible resource that allows you to make your business look so professional. And it's like something you whipped online in like 3 seconds. So Canva is amazing. That little $12, $14 subscription is worth every penny each month.
Yep. Love Canva. Number two, who is a Black woman entrepreneur that you admire and why? Like someone realistic that you would trade places with.
That I would trade places with. Okay.
For like a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really admire my homegirl Lamide from Topicals. She has an incredible business that she's building with great products and a great community, and I'm just so inspired by her. We launched our companies around the same time, and she's just doing amazing. So I always, shout her out every opportunity that I can. In terms of trading lives, I'm trying to live in Rihanna's life, actually.
Yes. All right, number three, what is a non-negotiable part of your day?
That's such an interesting question because I don't think I have like anything that's non-negotiable. And that's like, yeah. And I'm very real. Like, I don't have the healthiest practices. Like I don't get up every day and I'm like, oh, I have to do my stretches. I don't get up every day and like, I have to work out. I'm not getting up every day like, oh, I have to like eat my breakfast. Some days some days I don't eat my breakfast, like some days I sleep later. Like I am so committed to doing what I'm doing that truly everything actually is negotiable. But I'm hoping to get my business to a place. I'm hoping to get my business to a place where, once we have a lot more capital inserted into the business, hopefully through investments, I'll be able to hire more help. And then maybe I will be able to get up every day and be like, no, I got to do this little stretch moment. That's non-negotiable.
Like, don't talk to me before 10. So what would you say is a personal habit, though, that has helped you in your business?
Oh, you know what it is? I always try to make people laugh. I think I'm a very funny person. And I think I have a pretty good sense of humor. I'm not like, stand-up comedy funny, but like, I'll say witty things that'll make people laugh. And I realized that my personality was such a big factor in my success when I went to Italy recently. And I met up with some of my leather suppliers and they had like a team dinner at the end of the day with their entire team. And they invited me and my buyer to attend alongside Kendall from Kendall Miles Shoes, who I was there with. And I was sitting there, and I was like, oh, you don't have like your other customers here, And it was like, because they really like me, they actually really just like working with me. And that's when I was like, wow, they follow me on socials too. And then there's another supplier that I work with. And I remember going there 2 trips ago and the guy who like oversees the leather production, I don't know how he found like our account or whatever. He was just like, who are you making these particular leathers for? And then he found us online. He is such a fan. I remember walking in, he was like, oh my God, she's here. And when I tell you, like, he like brought a piece of paper and asked me to sign it for him.
Oh my God, yes. I love it. It matters. It matters. People people love to work with people they like. It matters.
That is so important. That cannot be, understated. It's like
Overstated.
you can
Yeah.
be the best math person, the most organized,
Yeah.
the best ideas, the most creative. If you are not a person folks like to work with, they are not going to work with you. Or like the best thing is like when they do work with you, they kind of like go above and
Yeah.
beyond.
Yes.
They really like go do their best
They're
because they are
happy. They're
proud to
happy
work
to
with
be
you.
working.
They're
Yeah.
happy
Yeah.
to be working with you. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
so thankful for all of our different partners and all the different people I get to
Yes.
meet and work with. Relationships really are important. Of course, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
perfect. But I've
Yep.
taken those moments where I have failed in relationships with other people to learn,
Mm-hmm.
to grow, and make sure it doesn't happen again because everything is a learning lesson.
Yes. And then finally, what would you say is your parting advice for fellow women side hustlers who want to be their own boss, start their own business one day, but are kind of scared of losing that steady paycheck?
I mean, listen, for me, I sat back and I had to think like, all right, I'm at this company, I'm making good money. The company's not like overwhelming or anything, good work-life
Yeah.
balance. In 10 years, I'll have
Mm-hmm.
this position. This is how much this position is making. This is probably what my house will look like. Like, this is probably what my life will look like. And I was like, I don't really like that. Like,
Mm.
that life I painted of what it would look like in
Yes.
10 years if I stayed with that company, any company,
Mm.
was not
Mm-hmm.
exciting for me. For
Mm.
me, it was like I'd always felt like I had so much more to contribute to this world. And
Yeah.
if you feel like you have a calling, which we all do, we all have a
Right.
purpose in this life, then pursue that. Listen, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It is
Right.
very hard. Side hustles can be for everybody. And even side hustles don't always have to be something you're making money off of. It can also be something you just love. But in this life, make sure
Mm-hmm.
you do something that you love and you care about because that's going to drive you every single
Right.
day. So I always tell people, go and try to find out. Like we talked about, have an exit clause, have some
Yes.
sort of backup, right? Do not listen to this podcast interview and quit your job tomorrow.
Right.
Even though
Right.
Beyonce said to quit your job, listen, quit
Right.
it with
Right.
a plan, all right?
A
Because Beyonce
plan,
don't want you
exit
unemployed,
clause,
no plan either.
some
Yes, like
savings. That is what we emphasize here in Side Hustle Pro world. All right.
gotta
But
have savings. Absolutely. Like I
gotta have
said,
it.
I was literally living with a friend saving 70% of my paycheck. Like that was like I was committed to leaving that job, And so
Yeah.
it's like you really have to commit
Mm.
yourself to saving at least, people usually say at least 6 months. I live an expensive
Yeah.
lifestyle. So for a girl like me, it's like a year. It's like a year of
We
expenses.
listen. You're my kind of people. You are my kind of people.
You need to know yourself, baby. All
You
right.
gotta know
'Cause
yourself.
some of us can
That
run
is
through
why
six
I
months in
started
3.
side hustling.
All
I
right.
knew exactly my lifestyle needed to be maintained before I
Yes.
do this entrepreneur
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So, all right.
Some way,
Oh
somehow,
no,
go find
finish
out.
up.
Some way, somehow, go find out.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. So much fun. So before you leave, please let everyone know where they can connect with you and shop Anima Iris after this episode.
Yes. All right. Shopping Anima Iris. You can find us on our website, Anima, Anima Iris, IRIS.com. You can also find us at Saks Fifth Avenue in stores online. You can find us at Nordstrom. You can find us at Bloomingdale's. You can find us at Amazon luxury stores. And terms of connecting with us online. We are on Instagram at anima.iris. We are on Twitter, anima_iris. We are on TikTok at anima.iris. My personal Instagram and TikTok is Wilglory with 2 Y's, WILGLORYY. I love connecting with people, love talking to people via DM. So feel free to reach out to me. And hopefully I'm actually working on a masterclass as well that
Ooh,
will
yes.
hopefully help a lot of people as in their
Yes.
beginning stages of starting a business. So child, once we
Yes.
get that edited, I'll get it out there. But stay tuned
Yes,
for that.
yes, yes. I'm here for that. I'm all about the master classes, you guys. I'm all about going to the people who are doing what I want to be doing and learning from them, I will pay you whatever I need to pay you. But, give me the straight shot to the information. So I'm not over here Googling. So yes, we'll look out for that. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, guys, there's a lot we didn't even get to touch on, but that's why we're going to need a part 2. Let me know if you want a part 2, but thank you again, Wilglory. Congrats on all your success. And with that, yes, there you have it. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Side Hustle Pro. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other side hustlers just like you to find the show. And if you want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Side Hustle Pro. Plus, sign up for my 6 Bullet Saturday newsletter at sidehustlepro.co/newsletter. When you sign up, you will receive weekly nuggets from me, including what I'm up to, personal lessons, and my business tip of the week. Again, that's sidehustlepro.co/newsletter to sign up. Talk to you soon.